If you're interested in classically homeschooling and you've thought about using Classical Conversations, I just want to give you a peek inside the basic 4th edition guide for the foundations level. Stay tuned. So a lot of people get freaked out when you think classical education. I guess it's something that it seems like it's a mystery or it's vague for whatever reason. I just wanted to show you exactly a little bit about what it's like and our experience with it, being that this has been our first year in the books using a Classical Conversations curriculum for my 6-year-old. And I just want to say that if you have a large family and you have children who are close in age, I believe Classical Conversations will work for you because it is very inexpensive and it gives a rich variety of information for your kids to learn, and they'll never be bored and they'll be just absorbing so much information, and you will too. So here's the foundations guide for the weekly grammar for Classical Conversations. Pretty much with Classical Conversations, it believes that education is broken down into 3 levels, okay? In the foundations level, which is pretty much grades preschool to grade 4, so about age 4 to 11, you have your grammar stage, and this is when they memorize facts. Then the dialectic stage is when they discover how facts relate, and that is the from about middle school, end of elementary into middle school. And then you have your rhetoric stage, which is the challenge levels 1 through 4, which is pretty much high school. So that's how it's broken down. The grammar stage is the foundations level, okay? So just to show you pretty much what it's all about, is it's about memorization. The grammar stage is about memorizing the material as much as possible. We have found that kids who are this young tend to absorb information very quickly. So what they try to do is to really soak it in, lay it on them, let them memorize things through songs, through exposure, through just different variety of methods to how to memorize the work and then build from there. So cycle 1 is what's coming up for us this year. Last year was cycle 3. Classical Conversations is broken down into 3 cycles, cycles 1, 2, and 3. So for my student, he will get each cycle 2 times before he gets out of the foundations level of Classical Conversations. So it is repetitive, it is redundant, but at the same time, because there's so much information, they never really get bored. So this will be his first time doing cycle 1. So for cycle 1, it's broken down like this, week by week. It's a 24-week program. So week 1, this is what I would focus on with him. In terms of history, it'll say, what's my history? History sentence, tell me about commandments 1 through 5. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me, make no graven image, so on and so forth. So for the first few weeks for cycle 1, they'll be learning about the 10 commandments. Acts and facts timeline. For history, they'll be learning about the timeline from the beginning of creation, to present day. The timeline never changes. The timeline is always the same. Every year, they will be reviewing the timeline over and over and over again. And there's a song and hand motions that they do the same one every year so that they can mentally just absorb that information. For geography for week 1, they'll be talking about the Fertile Crescent. English, what's a preposition? Latin, noun cases. Science, what are the classifications of living things, broken down to kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Math, counting by 1s and 2s. It might seem simple to you, but they go up to countings by 13s for math. And for activities, they talk about the hands-on science experiments that you can use. They reference a book and the experiment that they can use to reflect on that week. And for fine arts, they're doing drawing, basic shapes and oils. Basic shapes with oils. Very simple. Very simple. So for this week, this is what I'm doing. What I would do from there is go on Pinterest, and then I would look up this information. There are tons of blogs out there, tons of resources out there about the Fertile Crescent, worksheets about prepositions, games and activities about nouns. That's how I would structure my lesson plans. I would go and break down week by week. Okay, I know what we're learning this week. Now let me go and find resources and things to really help him memorize it. The curriculum comes with worksheets. It comes with videos on YouTube that are accessible for the kids to reference, songs that the kids can reference, just so they can take in the timeline, take in the history sentence, take in this information. And what's awesome is that every week I know what I'm doing. It's broken down, it switches up, and it gives the kid enough time to process and take in that information. And that's what I love about it. At some point, all three of my boys will be learning the same exact information, but I'll be doing it on their level. For example, what I like to do this year, I started making worksheets. So this was cycle 3, which was this year, week 17. An example of what I did, I simply went on Word and I made PDFs for each week for each subject. So this is the science for that week, and they were learning about the four elements a week until they learned the I believe it was the first 12 basic elements on the periodic table of elements. So they learned the atomic number, they learned the symbol of the first 12 elements on the periodic table. Because my son, in the beginning of the year, he was 5, it gave me an opportunity for him to practice his handwriting because I did it with dotted lines. He was able to practice his handwriting, as well as I found that when he wrote, he would take in the information better as well by writing it. So there's just a variety of ways you can do this. So because he was 5, this is how I did it. And as he gets older and we come back to cycle 3 again in another couple of years, there'll be no need for dotted lines. And then we did experiments with carbon. We did experiments with finding carbon dioxide when you combine the vinegar and the baking soda in a bottle, and we put a balloon on top, and how the combination of both of those released carbon dioxide and it filled the balloon. There's just so many different ways you can make it work. That's what I like about classical conversations. The fact that I have a structure, I have a guideline, I'm covering all of these topics, I'm giving him memory work, he's learning, he's memorizing information, we can elaborate on it and go deeper during the week if we want to, and then it gives me the freedom of finding my own way to present this information to my child in a way that's interesting to them. So this is just point blank, very dry bones, what the foundations level of classical conversation looks like, what the foundations guide looks like a little bit, and how I was able to bring it down to my child's level. I will go into more detail at a later date about planning and how I plan for classical conversations for kids who are in the foundations or grammar level of the program. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. Please post your questions in the comment box below and I will elaborate on them even more. I hope this has been useful. Happy homeschooling.